Hi, thanks so much for clicking on my face. My name is Courtney and welcome to my corner of the internet. In this video, I'll be sharing my top canning tips. Let's get excited. This is where I'd add an intro if I had one. My number one tip in life, but specifically also in canning: learn to be lazy. Now, some of you are probably like, I don't need to learn that, but I like where she's headed. So, let me specify. Not the kind of lazy where you skip important stuff and then end up just wasting resources, as well as risking botulism, which causes your body to go numb to the extent that your lungs forget how to breathe, and all the while you're fully conscious. I can think of better ways to kill myself.
Courtney, what are you even trying to get at?
Why do people always ask me that? Learn the type of lazy that leads to efficiency, cutting the right corners so that you can do things safely and easily the first time around. Here are some examples. Canning funnels. Just another stupid marketing ploy? Or actually useful? Welcome to TCC TV, where we SYS sell you stuff. Today we have a special treat for you lovely viewers. This amazing set of funnels.
Call now to place your order, because guess what? The first 100 callers will receive this set of funnels for free. You'll have so many, you literally won't know where to store them all.
All for the small price of your husband yelling at you for buying more kitchen gadgets.
Do you too struggle with filling things into things?
Whether you're a clumsy Kathy or a spilly Jilly, this tool is easy to master. You'll be receiving this funnel, and this funnel, and this funnel, and even this funnel with a funnel.
Courtney, what are you even trying to get at?
Have at least one canning funnel. Now, those of you who are new to canning must be wondering why experienced canners are so obsessed with clean jar rims. Here's why. It's because any kind of ingredients or grease that get between the rim of the jar and the lid will prevent it from forming a vacuum seal during the canning process. So, no matter what, you should always wipe your rims with water and white vinegar. Okay, but why do I recommend having at least one? Because this happens. And this. And of course, keep in mind that you have to move super quick because everything is piping hot. But I got you covered. Remember, ladies and gents, you saw it here first. Next up, headspace. No, not what your vegan yoga instructor tells your zero-waste life coach you should journal about in your morning pages during your #woke morning routine. Headspace is the distance between your contents and the rim of the jar. But why do jars even need headspace? Because when you're cooking anything, it's not the best idea to fill your vessel all the way up to the tippity top. same thing happens during canning, it's just that then the contents bubble out of the jar, get between the rim and the lid, and we're back to square one.
Ask me how I know.
That happened way too recently. On the other hand, too much headspace, and not all the oxygen will get pushed out of the jar during canning. Note in the case of these taters, the jar on the right still had oxygen in it, and so they started going bad, and that turned the water cloudy. Now, you won't always be able to see that there's something wrong, but the jar is definitely going to lose its seal. A note for all experienced canners in America: cool your engines. Yes, this is a twist-off lid, but it's a special kind that's super common in German canning. Ball, Kerr, Bernardin, all of the two-part lids that you guys are used to are hard to come by over here, and also ridiculously expensive. As you saw, they can lose their seal, and they actually don't cause a false seal over time. But I'll get into that more in a future video, in which I'll talk about the different types of canning jars and how to use them correctly. So stay tuned. Now that we're all on the same page, what I'm trying to get at is whether you're new to canning or just bad at eyeballing measurements, I got you covered. Now you'll always have the perfect Goldilocks of headspace. Speaking of which, do you get a kick out of debubbling your jars? You're psycho. This tip isn't for you. For the rest of us, lean back and enjoy.
All across the globe, in lands near and far, each fledgling canner is taught about the importance of removing air pockets from their jars before wiping the rim and adding the lid. After all, oxygen is so yummy for the evil bacteria that threaten the queen and her family. The debubbler works hard to keep everybody safe, but oh, if only his job could somehow get easier. Then, one special day, out of nowhere, this lady shows up and changes everything.
If you're canning fruit, you can use water or juice or simple syrup. That means equal volumes of water and sugar stirred together until the sugar dissolves. For soup, it would be a ladle or a few of your broth. So whatever liquid you're using that's approved for canning, just add some of it before the solids, and air bubbles won't have much of a chance to even form. I was just thinking that if necessity is the mother of invention, does that make laziness the chill stepmom? Have you ever made a batch of something that yielded more jars than can fit into your canner at once? This tip's for you. Namely, make a list of all the different jar sizes you have and how many of each fit into your canner at once. Draw one vertical line for each type of canner you have, and one horizontal line for each type of jar you use. Then write them in, and pop in how many of each fit into your canner at once. So make sure to put it where it won't get lost. Next up, have you noticed I haven't been saying tip number so-and-so? I may or may not be bothered to keep count. If you keep all the stuff you use exclusively for canning together, which I guess could be counted as a tip on its own, you see why counting doesn't work for my brain. Among those things, and this is the tip I actually had in mind, I recommend keeping a pen and a pad of sticky notes in order to be able to record all strokes of genius for posterity and to, remember stuff. This tip is also a bit of a 2-for-1. Make a small test batch of a recipe you've never tried before. Captain Office reporting for duty.
But Courtney, that would mean getting out all the stuff and doing all the stuff and running the canner for just 2 or 3 jars. Are you crazy?
What I am recommending is just adding your test jars to a canner load of something you're already doing and has the same processing time. By the way, some canners need a minimum amount of jars in them to correctly process the food. So read your manual. No, that's not a tip, it's a requirement. Really. But what if you have extra space in your canner and no jars of a test batch with which to fill it? If you're a prepper, just fill some jars with drinking water and add them to your stash. And if you're not a prepper, add empty jars. Although you will have to fill in some water because otherwise they'll float.
I've also heard of the recommendation to put a towel between the jars, which works, but then this. No thank you.
Also, in case you have siphoning and your towel isn't super dark, it's going to look like it's been used to... No period jokes, Courtney. My second to last piece of advice for today:
Research food prep tips, tricks, shortcuts, as well as read and watch any kind of instructions on whatever it is you'll be processing in bulk.
Also, familiarize yourself with whatever kitchen gadgets could be useful. Look up how Gordon Ramsay chops bell peppers. It changed my life. Or how Martha Stewart slices cherry tomatoes. I recently read a YouTube comment by this lady who had a bumper crop of garlic one year, and so she and her sisters spent days peeling all the cloves until one of them came up with the idea to Google how Martha does it, which is to put the entire head of garlic into a bowl, cover it with an identical sized bowl, and just shake it, and within a couple of seconds, the cloves are peeled. I may or may not currently own 2 bowls of the same size, but I have a workaround. Before sharing my last tip for today, I'd like to give a very special thanks to Linda from Linda's Pantry, who shared her top 10 canning tips and encouraged her viewers to do the same in order to be able to make like a master playlist of everyone's top tips. And of course, I linked it below. Now that brings us to my last tip for now, which is to subscribe, because there's a lot more where this came from. Because I for sure ain't getting any less crazy.